So tonight we had the official finals for the Last Time Is Now tournament to see who is going to be John Cena's last opponent between LA Knight and Gunther. And as far as the actual tournament in itself, if I can speak to that before I get to what we saw here tonight on Smackdown, the actual tournament in itself, I feel like has been very underwhelming because, we were promised, names from Raw, names from SmackDown, NXT names, and names that you possibly weren't ever going to, come up with as far as, possible surprises. And for the most part, we only got just a handful of those things, right? We had Zack Ryder, we had Dolph Ziggler, we had Javon Evans, and that was kind of it, right? There wasn't no surprises. There wasn't major names. You knew going into this tournament, the moment you saw Gunther and his name appear here, you knew who was going to win the tournament, which was kind of, they could have at the very least done some interesting things here, but they literally didn't. So that's my only really drawback as far as this goes. And as far as tonight goes, we had LA Knight against Gunther, the main event match. They really kind of hyped this up as almost like a big time fight feel. Like when they do championship matches and they do the introductions, they literally rolled out the red carpet here for that as well. They gave you the introductions for LA Knight, the introductions for Gunther. Again, Gunther, throughout this entire tournament, say what you will about Gunther, because I know there's a lot of people that really, I guess they don't really like Gunther's style, or they find him to be boring, or whatever the case is. But one thing I will say about Gunther is he's had consistently the best matches here in this Last Time Is Now tournament, and that was no different here with LA Knight, because they had a fantastic match here to end off the show. They gave you, hope spots here potentially of LA Knight actually beating Gunther, right? They gave you BFTs where LA Knight hit the BFT, but then Gunther put his foot on the rope. So they were kind of just toying with your emotions here. And they really made him the underdog here. But I think the obvious choice was always going to end up being Gunther beating LA Knight here and going on to challenge John Cena at Saturday night's main event as his last opponent. He did make mention of the fact that it's not when I'm going to beat LA Knight, it's how I'm going to beat LA Knight, because he made LA Knight tap out. Then after he wins the match, he looks deadpan into the camera and tells John Cena that he's going to do something that he's never done before or hasn't done in a long time, and that's make John Cena tap out, make John Cena quit. And that's how we go off the air with Gunther as the rightful winner here. And, if you were to ask me maybe a month, 2 months ago, I would have told you Gunther is going to be the last opponent and Gunther is going to get the win over John Cena, because that's frankly what I would have seen them doing. But now that we know we've had John Cena go in there and lose against Dom at Survivor Series, and, him losing the IC title, him getting screwed over there. And now if you were to have Cena lose here, and especially if he lost to a tap out, which I clearly don't see them doing, because it would go against the whole character of hustle, loyalty, respect John Cena, right? It would just literally, it's something you haven't seen since I think 2003, right? Him tap out, him give up. So I don't really see that happening, even if it's his last ever match here in WWE. I can't imagine it. It's like the streak being broken. I just can't physically imagine it. But now what I do envision is, you get that match, Gunther and Cena gets the win, because it's the feel-good moment. Probably Cena doesn't want that to happen. Probably Cena wants to put Gunther over. But again, it's the feel-good moment. Cena, this is his last time ever. Gunther really doesn't need to win this match. You don't really lose anything if Gunther takes a loss here to John Cena. And as far as LA Knight goes, I know there's a lot of people, talking as far as yo, Triple H, what are you doing with LA Knight? What's up with LA Knight? You must hate him for some reason. And while I do kind of, understand that, and I do sympathize with that, you have to understand also that LA Knight was never going to win the tournament here. He was never slated to win. At the very least, consider yourself grateful that LA Knight got so far into this tournament, because never would have thought he would have been all the way to the finals. But as far as him actually being booked, yeah, that is something that Triple H needs to course correct. I don't know whether or not there is legitimate heat there, but that's something that he does need to look into in 2026. And as far as the rest of SmackDown goes, we had Cody Rhodes attack Drew McIntyre. He wants to have Drew McIntyre reinstated here because he made mention of the fact of how Drew McIntyre attacked Cody in his tour bus, and that's where his daughters sleep. That's where his wife sleeps. He wants Drew reinstated. I don't know whether or not we're going to get that at the Royal Rumble or if we're going to get that on the first SmackDown of the brand new year. But I am of the thought process of, if we're going to have this match once again, Cody against Drew, for the love of God, finally crown Drew as the champion. I'm not saying he has to walk into WrestleMania as the WWE champion, but I'm saying I don't want to see Drew lose again because it wouldn't help him at all. And this main event scene really needs a shakeup. So I don't really care for this match other than the fact of that possible Drew win whenever we get this match announced. We also made mention of the fact of Cody Rhodes. He is going to challenge or is going to face the winner of Ricky Saints versus Obafemi tomorrow night, because I assume tomorrow night there's an NXT pay-per-view. So the winner of that match is going to face Cody Rhodes at Saturday night's main event, keeping in spirit with the whole NXT against WWE idea that John Cena floated around. We also had a great match here with Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes. Tommaso Ciampa got involved here, giving Ilya the inadvertent, I guess, win here. Now we get the match between Ilya and Tommaso next week. We also had Solo Sikoa and the MFTs cutting a promo here against the Wyatt Six and Uncle Howdy. Afterwards, the Wyatt Six come out here and brawl MFTs, and they stand tall over the MFTs. Again, I don't really know if I care for this too much. God bless you if you love the MFTs against the Wyatt Six. I don't think this is really for me. But post your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of tonight's episode of SmackDown. And until next time, I will see all of you on the next one.